While Marvel or DC superheroes have been dominating several top 10 superheroes lists for the longest time, Prime Video's The Boys introduced us to a fresh horde of supernatural beings and immediately caught the audience's eyes, also known as Supes. These superpowered characters seem a bit more twisted and dark than your average superhero, making them all the more interesting to explore, ranging from the show's main antagonist, Homelander, to other characters such as the Deep and Victoria Newman. This show has an endless list of mighty, powerful beings. We have handpicked a few of them, so without further ado, let us jump in and explore the 12 most powerful Supes in The Boys. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Soldier Boy, popularly known as America's first superhero, Soldier Boy, aka Benjamin, went down a path of evil and appeared as one of the main villains in the show's third season. He formerly led the superhero team Payback, and it was rumored that he even worked alongside the good guys in World War II. Soldier Boy's journey started on the right side, and his team, Payback, was known for fighting for justice. Unfortunately, things went downhill when he went missing on a secret mission in Nicaragua, and there were several fabricated stories about him sacrificing himself to save the nation from a nuclear power plant accident. In reality, he had just been betrayed and shunned by his team, who sold him to the Russians and left him to their devices. Soldier Boy then underwent several experiments, including ones where he was injected with radioactive materials, and he suffered for quite a long time before Butcher and the boys rescued him from the military facility. Soldier Boy was blessed with superhuman strength and durability, and he had managed to fight several soldiers at once during his time in the army. Even otherwise, he could lift and hurl heavy objects such as cars with his hands, and he proved himself to be the only one who had put up a tough fight in a clash against Homelander. Soldier Boy further gained psychic immunity, and he could resist Mindstorm's psychic attacks in a clash in Nicaragua. He also possesses superhuman agility and reflexes, as well as a regenerative healing factor. And he also has not shown any signs of aging, despite spending most of his youth as a soldier. After being subjected to several experiments, he also gained the ability to fire destructive radiation-infused energy blasts that could completely char the bodies of humans and Supes alike. Homelander, also known as John. Homelander was actually born from the semen of Soldier Boy, paired with the womb of a runaway, who was paid generously to carry John's embryo. As soon as he was born, Homelander was taken to a lab where he was raised under the watchful eye of Jonah Vogelbaum. He was quite a sweet little kid, but Vogelbaum needed him to become tougher, and he then kick-started a series of experiments that would hone him into becoming the strongest man in the world. These experiments pushed all his limits and put him through some traumatic life experiences, such as forcing him to put his hand in a furnace, fighting superpowered beings, and even being boiled alive. He went on to lead the Seven and gain a reputation as the strongest Supe in the world, and he currently dreams of world domination. While he has posed to be a modest, sincere Boy Scout who loves the nation of America, he seems to have deeper plans to rule over the country and seems determined to get there by hook or crook. Homelander's powers have helped him earn the title of the greatest superhero alive, and he is most well known for his super strength. Bestowed with Soldier Boy's genes, Homelander was so strong that he ended up breaking a woman's spine while hugging her as a child. He also has other powers such as super senses, super durability, X-ray vision, enhanced stamina, and flight, and his heat vision also enables him to shoot deathly energy beams with his eyes. Cindy. As a minor antagonist, Cindy's impressive abilities left the audience in utter shock as she displayed some of the most fascinating powers one had witnessed in the show. She was known for suffering from some mental distress, and she spent a good portion of her life being admitted to the Sage Grove Center. However, she barely got any treatment here, and instead, she was used as a test subject to create a new version of Compound V for adults. After going through several experiments, the compound triggered her transformation into a Supe and granted her several new powers. While she mostly remained in captivity at the Sage Grove Center, she met Frenchie and Lamplighter after Frenchie's team broke into the place. While Lamplighter advised Cindy to stay calm, she ended up displaying her powers and even destroyed all the room's doors to free the other patients. She faced some trouble when Stormfront confronted her and even tried to electrocute her, but she eventually managed to escape the center and hitchhiked away. Among other things, Cindy is best known for her ability to manipulate pressure, thereby crushing objects and humans alike. She displayed this ability on the occasion where she broke out of Sage Grove Center, and in extreme situations, she could also manipulate the pressure within an an opponent's body to make them implode. Cindy was also granted superhuman hearing, just like other Supes, as well as superhuman durability that enabled her to keep going even after being shot or electrocuted. Victoria Newman. Born as Nadia Kayat, Victoria Newman was exposed to Compound V as a child, and she accidentally ended up killing her parents after struggling to deal with her powers. She was soon enrolled at the Red River Institute to get better. She was soon enrolled at the Red River Institute to get a better hold on her abilities, and she was often adopted by families who she would eventually end up killing. Along the way, Victoria was adopted by VOD International CEO Stan Edgar, who looked out for her and also helped her create a new identity. She then grew up to become a congresswoman and even the vice president of the United States, while also forming and leading the Federal Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. At one point, Victoria had a child named Zoe Newman with an unnamed man, and she showed a softer side as she raised her daughter along with Stan. She continued to soar to great heights in her political career, while also hiding her true identity as the head pauper Supe, who murdered several members of Congress. Victoria's uniqueness lay in her ability to manipulate blood, and she would often use this power to make several people's heads explode at once. She could also trigger nosebleeds in her opponents and leave them to die a painful death where their bodies would eventually explode. And she could also detect the presence of Compound V in anybody's bloodstream. Besides this, Victoria was blessed with a regenerative healing factor, superhuman hearing, and enhanced strength, just like other Supes. Maro, appearing as the main protagonist of The Boys spin-off series, Gen V. Maro was a Supe who dreamed of joining the Seven her entire life. Her parents permitted Vought to inject her with Compound V at an extremely young age, and she turned into a Supe in the early 2000s. She had quite a normal childhood with her sister, Annabeth, but all hell broke loose when her powers manifested at the age of 10 when she got her first period. Overwhelmed by the intensity of her powers, Marie accidentally killed her parents, and she then had to leave her sister behind as she was taken away to the Red River Institute. Mary joined Godalkin University in her teenage years, where she first dreamed about being a hero to make up for her past mistakes. While all Supes are granted superhuman strength and enhanced hearing abilities, Marie's strengths lie in her ability to manipulate blood. Just like Victoria Newman, Marie had the ability to manipulate her opponent's blood cells and cause them to explode and lead to a painful death. In addition, Marie had the unique ability to manipulate her blood so that it would flow out of her hands and take the form of weapons such as blades and whips. She often carried a blade to cut her own hands and ensured that there was a way for blood to flow out of her body and take the form of extraordinary weapons. Additionally, Marie also had the ability to heal from any injuries in a moment, and she could sense blood and discern whether it had been injected with Compound V or any other substances. Golden Boy. Despite having committed suicide quite early on in The Boys spin-off series, Gen V, Golden Boy has been a posthumous recurring character, also known as Luke. Golden Boy was born to Ted and Janet, who approved of Vought's offer to inject their son with Compound V at a young age. He soon transformed into a Supe and grew up with his brother Sam, till he decided to pursue higher education at Godalkin University. He soon established himself as one of the top-ranking students and became Professor Brinkerhoff's protege. As he studied more, Luke decided to major at the Lamplighter School of Crime Fighting, where he became close friends with many of his peers and even formed a romantic relationship with Kate Dunlap. However, he could not keep up with the experiments and even suffered from hallucinations, and Golden Boy eventually took his own life after killing Professor Brinkerhoff while questioning him about his brother's whereabouts. Golden Boy was one of the brightest students at Godalkin University, and he ranked so high that he was even offered a position in the Seven. He had highly enhanced thermonuclear abilities, which allowed him to engulf himself in fire and lunge at his opponents. He could generate fire through his hands and set people ablaze with such intensity that they would explode in seconds. Golden Boy was immune to this fire, and he additionally had superhuman strength and durability to give him an edge. He could also propel himself in the air by releasing jet-like fiery propulsions from his feet, which allowed him to fly around and levitate at high speeds. Starlight. Born as Annie January, Starlight received her superpowers after being injected with Compound V at quite a young age. She then dreamed of saving the world, and she can be best described as a dedicated, down-to-earth character who wanted nothing more than to help others with her superpowers. However, all their dreams were shattered when she finally got to join the Seven, as she soon realized that she was better off not meeting her heroes. She was pretty taken aback by the corruptness of the organization, and Homelander and Vought's behavior compelled her to join hands with the boys instead. Starlight was best known for her ability to absorb energy from her environment and then channel it in the form of blasts. She often converted these surges of energy into intense, bright blasts through the process of photokinesis, and then fired these blasts from her hands. In several instances, Starlight managed to trigger blackouts in small spaces, blind her opponents, or even burn through metal surfaces with the help of these energy blasts. She could also knock people out or cauterize wounds by channeling this energy, and there was no upper limit to her energy harnessing powers. Besides this, she could make her eyes glow by absorbing exorbitant amounts of energy, and also control specific electronic devices, such as television or security cameras. Starlight was bestowed with superhuman strength, durability, and hearing, just like all other Supes, and she was also known for her proficiency in martial arts. Stormfront. Known for filling the spot in the Seven after Translucent's death, Stormfront had bigger things in mind when she joined the team. While she denied these allegations in public, she was secretly a Nazi who hoped to spread her white supremacist ideologies while working with the Seven. She was notorious for killing people from other ethnicities, and she once even massacred an entire block of black residents while chasing after an opponent. She was also known as Clara Reisinger, and she grew up in Germany, where she often associated with the Nazi Party. She then married Frederick Vought, who exposed her to Compound V and made her the first Supe to benefit from the compound and gain powers. Stormfront was best known for her electrokinesis powers, and she could create and manipulate charged particles to defeat her opponents. She mostly used these powers to blast purple plasma blasts from her hands and feet to incapacitate hordes of people at once. She had complete control over the intensity of these attacks, which ranged from merely electrocuting her opponents to leaving them writhing in pain as they died a slow death. In a powerful display of her powers, she once exploded an entire apartment block and even charged people up so they would fly in the air and then knock themselves out by crashing into concrete walls or buildings. Additionally, she was blessed with superhuman strength that helped her overpower the likes of Kimiko and Kenji Miyashiro in the blink of an eye, and she once even engaged in combat with Homelander. She also seemed to have attained immortality as an extension of her regenerative abilities and durability, as she retained her youthful appearance even after being over 100 years old. Queen Maeve. Maggie Shaw, or Queen Maeve, has made quite an impact in the Seven, and she plays one of the most important roles in the series overall. She was born in 1982 in California, where her parents accepted Vought's offer to inject her with Compound V and turn her into a Supe. Soon after, Maggie's parents waited for her powers to manifest, and then used her to earn money by enrolling her in all sorts of power competitions. Over the years, Maggie decided to use her powers for good and enrolled at Godolphin University, where she started calling herself Queen Maeve. Upon graduation, she was soon offered a spot in the Seven, a new superhero team working under Homelander's leadership. She soon gained a reputation as a feminist, humanitarian, and warrior, but she ended up realizing that her ideals did not match Vought's expectations. She eventually turned into a cynic and questioned her identity as an idealist, but she gained some of her old self back after she crossed paths with the boys and aided in one of their missions against Stormfront and Homelander. While all Supes are bestowed with superhuman durability and strength to some extent, Queen Maeve's special powers lie in her strength. She was known to be one of the strongest Supes in the world, and she once even prevented a school bus from falling when she was just a child. Maeve was capable of snapping people's bones in seconds, and she had also managed to hold her front against the likes of Stormfront and Homelander. Maeve was also bestowed with superhuman durability, and she was completely bulletproof and immune to energy attacks. Besides this, Maeve's superhuman speed, reflexes, agility, and senses were quite commendable, and she also honed her martial arts abilities to become one of the most powerful Supes in the history of the franchise. Kimiko, also known as the Female. Kimiko was one of the main members of the boys, and she had lived quite a tragic life before making her way onto the team. For starters, she lost her parents in a terrorist attack as a kid, and she was then separated from her brother and forcefully enrolled in the Shining Light Liberation Army. While Kimiko served for them for years, she eventually tried to escape, but was caught in the act and then taken to the United States. Here, they used her as a test subject for Compound V experiments until she was eventually rescued by the boys, who found her in a cage in a high-security prison. Initially, they assumed that Kimiko was a frail woman who needed help, but they soon realized that she had superpowers and that she might be the one to save them. She especially developed a close bond with Frenchie and decided to take Compound V again in adulthood. Kimiko was best known for her regenerative healing factor, as she had managed to recover from several life-threatening injuries throughout her life. She had been shot on multiple occasions, but she was quite resistant to pain, and no amount of shooting, stabbing, or energy attacks could bring her down. She possessed superhuman strength and agility, as well as superhuman hearing and durability.
I'm sure.
Andre Anderson. Appearing in the boys' spin-off series Gen V, Andre Anderson studied at Godolphin University, where he was best known as Polarity's son. He harbored a lot of doubts about what he wanted to do in life, and he often struggled with the idea of succeeding his father as the new Polarity. He also made some bad decisions, such as getting together with Golden Boy's girlfriend. Later, he felt quite guilty about his actions, especially after Golden Boy took his own life, and he then dedicated his time to finding out the truth behind his suicide. In this process, he discovered that his father was involved in his friend's death, and this put a huge strain on their relationship. Andre's powers lay in his ability to manipulate magnets, which gave him total control over metals, devices with magnets such as keyboards, software, and motherboards, and entire magnetic fields. This allowed him to manipulate his surroundings, override magnetic locks and fingerprint readers, and even reshape metal up to 12 tons. Additionally, Andre was blessed with superhuman strength and durability, just like other Supes, and he also possessed a superhuman sense of hearing. Ryan Butcher, famously known as Homelander and Becca Butcher's son. Ryan Butcher has remained on the sidelines until now, but he seems to be a major character in Season 4. For most of his childhood, he grew up with Becca, who wanted to shelter him from the world of superheroes. However, this plan went right out the window when Homelander appeared at their doorstep and revealed that he was his father. The encounter was so overwhelming that Ryan's powers ended up manifesting at the very moment, and he soon displayed his heat vision abilities. Over the course of his story arc, Ryan struggled and eventually managed to get a better hold of his powers, but not before accidentally killing his mother in a moment of instability. As Homelander's son, Ryan has inherited several fascinating powers, but his heat vision remains his iconic one. He could gather heat energy from his eyes and then shoot powerful blasts capable of burning or even killing anyone in front of him. It was said that Ryan's powers were more potent than his father's, and he also had superhuman strength, durability, and senses to accompany his magnificent heat vision. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we come to the end of our curation of some of the mightiest Supes who have graced our screens over the course of the boys series. With a new season out, a whole lot of action is set to unravel, and we hope that these Supes show us some badass new moves and once again win over our hearts. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.